I'm Jared Koller, and I say special edition. You're like, Jared, every edition where Jared Koller and Gabe Swartz get together to talk ball is special. I know. But this one, we're talking all kinds of sports ball in the form of top 5 local sports stories for Kansas City in 2024. Now, you'll see my list. I'm giving it away right now what it is on the side. This is mine. Gabe does not condone this. This is not his list. He is simply here to pick it apart and say, hey, Jared, you got this wrong or this wrong. Or maybe, Jared, great point. Great insight. That's what we're talking about here today. So we'll start with number 1, Gabe, because I think that is where everything starts with when you talk sports in this town. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, but specifically a Super Bowl run that I think when we go back and talk about the top local sports stories of the decade, of the last 5 years in Chiefs history, I think the Super Bowl run that we saw at the beginning of 2024 will stand the test of time as an all-time run. Fair or not?
I think that it was each Super Bowl obviously means something special to Chiefs Kingdom and means something special to any franchise when you win a Super Bowl. But when you've won 3 of the last 5 and you've been to 4 of the last 5, I think that we had grown accustomed to, and we may grow accustomed to this year as well, the familiar territory of playing all playoff games at one Arrowhead Drive.
Yeah.
And to go on the road, to start it, first of all, with a historic moment, which is one of the coldest playoff games or one of the coldest football games in NFL history. And then to hear everyone doubt the Chiefs and think that this version of the Chiefs was too prone to self-inflicted mistakes and was unable to operate at the same level as years past, and that Travis Kelce wasn't what he once was, and
that wasn't
Patrick
just
Mahomes
the haters.
was having a bad year. That was
Chiefs fans were
felt the same
a lot
way
of saying that after a Christmas Day loss in
Day,
2023.
Yeah. So to start 2024 by quickly and efficiently extinguishing the belief that Patrick Mahomes could not win a road playoff game just because he had not been given the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
And then doing those two things.
Such a dumb narrative.
It was, I would say that the thought that leaves me most from the back-to-back, the second year of the back-to-back title runs, is that it was very additive to the legacy of the Chiefs dynasty.
Yes.
That they can do it in different ways, and that they did it defense first, and then Patrick Mahomes locked in and avoided the turnovers throughout the playoffs
and performed in the clutch when it mattered most.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. In the banner you see there, year of Kansas City sports growth, you may say, hey, Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, that's not necessarily growth, but the way in which they did it absolutely was. Gabe, not just the road element, but they were underdogs. It's not like, we've talked about another time on the show when Cincinnati went to Tennessee a couple of years ago and upset the Titans. Like, I don't know the spread in that, but like the Bengals clearly were the better team. There was reason to believe that the Chiefs were not better than the Bills, than the Ravens, or the 49ers. And they proved them wrong every single time. They trailed in some of those games. And so where I think you can make an argument for this Super Bowl run standing the test of time is you compare it to the first one, which was very unexpected. And I think the story of that one was the comebacks, right? They were down double digits in each game. But as you said, it was at home. And it was Mahomes, Tyreek, and Travis, that trio. Okay, then the one where I almost look at it as the affirmation Super Bowl, the second one, where they proved they could win without Tyreek Hill. They proved they could win in a different way, and they got revenge over a Bengals team that had just absolutely ripped their heart out the year before. And that Super Bowl, similar to the other Super Bowls they were down. But this one, I think the entire story of, as you said, even the game that you just throw away, that Dolphins win was impressive. And not just that they silenced the doubters outside of Kansas City, but even the doubters inside of Kansas City, that they overcame a wide receiver core that could not catch the ball, that they were able to flip the switch, that I think maybe sets a dangerous precedent in saying that regular season games don't matter. But last year, at the beginning of 2024, they didn't. Like, they legitimately flipped a switch with most people thought they couldn't do that. And so I think that will always go down as proving the doubters wrong. Obviously, this year the Chiefs have doubters in the way they've won a lot of games, but I don't think it was at the level of last year. And so hopefully they have another big Super Bowl run. But I really think when we tell the story of this Chiefs dynasty, I think if you want to say the first Super Bowl run, okay, but I think that third one is going to be right up there regardless of what happens in the future.
Yeah, and the fact that yes, it was underdogs against Buffalo, underdogs against Baltimore, underdogs against San Francisco, not just played up underdogs, not just played up nobody believed in us. It was legitimate. It was legitimately believed that other teams were better, and that in the process of it, they beat 4 of the top 5 MVP candidates in Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and then both Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because I would say when you compare that first Super Bowl, think about the teams and quarterbacks the Chiefs beat there. It was Deshaun Watson, who at a time was a good quarterback, but the Texans, Bill O'Brien, not necessarily a power. Tennessee Titans, Ryan Tannehill. Mike Vrabel was the coach.
Yeah.
Obviously, that didn't hold up. And then the Steelers, 49ers, San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan, obviously great, but Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's a more impressive run what they did to kick off 2024.
Yes.
So, we will see. And again, that Super Bowl game itself, you can make an argument that regardless of what the run, that Super Bowl win, because that's where Chiefs winning the Super Bowl could be the number one story. I'm making it the whole run because I think it's a whole story. But that game in Vegas in itself, Gabe.
Walk-off touchdown.
You know how I am during Chiefs games. You were here. I was there in Vegas, and I was like, this is nuts. That game, here's a quick question before we go on the next topic. Will that go down as the greatest Chiefs playoff game?
I mean,
that's a whole different list
it's one of the better Super Bowls of all time, and so was
Yeah.
the one against the Eagles. If you're talking
That's
about
true.
back and forth competitive football,
I think the
games
Eagles might have been a better game, but the finish was better for the 49ers game.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
I think
a difference
that
between a field goal with a few seconds left and a walk-off.
Yeah, and that's why I think that the Super Bowl last year was a better game, and the defenses played up to more. They were more challenging than the Eagles and Chiefs were 2 years ago. So yeah.
Well, that'll be a list for another day in the future. We can talk about that. But now we will come back to the Chiefs. They are also kind of part of our story in my top 5, and number 3, number 4, and number 5. But number 2, Gabe, I love the Royals. That's obvious. But a third postseason trip in 39 years. I think you can make an argument that the longer-term story has to do with the stadiums or this Chiefs regular season if it propels them to a Super Bowl run. But I think the Royals getting back to the postseason, not just getting back, because I don't know if it'd be number 2 if they went and got swept in Baltimore. Shout out Rusty's Orioles. But I think the fact that they went and won 2 games, and they also won a game in New York and hung with the New York, so they didn't get outclassed in any game against the Bronx Bombers. But we're also maybe bearing the lead here, Gabe. They went from losing 106 games to winning 86. That in itself is one of the greatest turnarounds in Kansas City history, one of the greatest turnarounds in baseball history. I think this is a worthy number 2.
Yeah, I think that both those points that you make are great points in that not only did they arrive in the playoffs, but that they won a series, admittedly due to a different format and it being a series rather than just a one-game wild card setup, but impressive nonetheless. And that, it was one of the greatest single-season turnarounds in MLB history, and I honestly think that Matt Quatrero probably should have been AL Manager of the Year, given the context of what that award typically is and what they're typically rewarding. And I assume that we're going to get to it in point number 5.
Yeah.
The emergence of, and we saw the emergence in a great deal a year prior from July on of what Bobby Witt Jr. was going to become. But I think that what number 2 really shapes into in the Royals returning to the postseason is that great individual moments turned into great team success.
Yeah.
Let alone the fact that we got to witness one of the best seasons by a Royal all time, and kind of the awakening that just about every month of the year Kansas City sports fans are going to have one of either the best player in the sport unequivocally in Patrick Mahomes, or one of the 5 best. I'll be liberal with the ranking there on where Bobby Witt Jr. stands in the MLB. One of the 5 best players in baseball.
Yeah, when you factor in National League.
Yeah.
But Gabe, when you talk about that, when you said one of the best seasons in Royals history, obviously for the uninitiated, we're talking about Bobby Witt Jr. here. But the reason why I put this number 2, and Bobby is part of the conversation for number 5, but Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo had 2 of the best seasons in Royals history from a pitching standpoint. Were they on Bobby Witt Jr.'s level? No, but the reason the Royals won a postseason series and won 30 more games than they did the year before was not all because of Bobby Witt Jr. That's what I think is most impressive, because, Gabe, going into the year, if you said Bobby Witt Jr. finishes second in MVP voting, that I would have believed you. If you said the Royals win 30 more games than they did before, what's more surprising? Witt finishing second in MVP voting, or the Royals improving by 30 games?
It's the team improvement,
right?
Because in baseball, you don't need the same.
Witt
level
is still obviously second. I would have been wow, because there's a lot of really good players in the American League. So even that surprised me. But it was the fact that Bobby Witt Jr. wasn't like Mike Trout for the Angels, that he got the help from Salvador Perez and Vinny Pasquantino in the heart of that lineup, and then enough from everyone else, from Michael Massey piecing it together to MJ Melendez hitting a clutch home run once a month, Maikel Garcia playing great defense. Everyone had little moments. Kyle Isbell played great defense. But the pitching staff, Gabe, Seth Lugo, Cole Reagans, Michael Wacha, who they brought back. Remember, Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo, we thought, all right, these are guys. We didn't think they'd be as good as they were, and they were great. Brady Singer was great. I know he's not a Royal, but he was awesome. And then your guy, Alec Marsh, comes in, Michael Lorenzen. This rotation, Gabe, for so many years, this organization has struggled to develop starting pitching, and they literally went to the postseason carried by starting pitching. That, to me, is on the same level of story as Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah, and I think that's what will, when you do this in 2025 and you look into the future and you say,
how did the Royals win the World Series?
What are we hoping is one of the top storylines? Well, there's not going to be let's return to the postseason as an option for the storyline, but your hope is that sustained success is the storyline of 2025.
Yeah, and it's the type of thing where in baseball it's such a long season and injuries are so fickle, where if they lost Vinny Pasquantino to injury a month sooner, I don't think they make the postseason, so obviously they got to stay healthy. I don't think this was like the 2014 season and that they're easily built to get to the next step, because I think they are a little bit older, and they're, one player they were relying on was Salvador Perez, and he's getting older. Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha are older. Cole Reagans has an injury history. I don't think in 2014 I would have bet a lot of money that they would have made a deep postseason run. I think the Royals are going to be good next year, but I don't know if they're going to be as good as they were last year.
Yeah,
it's tough to replicate over that long of a period. So that's why I hope Royals fans enjoyed the 2024 run. I know it came out of nowhere. I know it was a late arriving buzz, but the fact that postseason baseball returned to the K, Gabe, that was special, very special. So, and hey, listen, 14 and 15. 24, 25, there's something about those 4 and 5,
Yeah, maybe. And there's just the connection between Salvi and
things have happened. Oh, Salvi.
The first group.
Well, Salvi's also grouped into that number 5 as well. But now, if you want to say, Jared, you've got your Royals homer hat on, the biggest story of 2025 or top is all the stadium buzz. And I grouped that as the Kansas Jacks played football at Arrowhead Stadium as they built a new stadium at Lawrence, okay? That takes the college part. The Kansas City Chiefs had a vote rejected by Jackson County voters, despite coming off a Super Bowl win. The Kansas City Royals had a vote for a new stadium rejected, and the Kansas City Current opened up the first stadium in the world dedicated to a women's professional soccer team, and they hosted the NWSL final. For the long term, one more?
You're forgetting one.
What am I forgetting?
You're forgetting your alma mater is renovating.
Oh, Yes. There you go. I guess I didn't, since nothing actually happened there
But
yet.
they made
Yes,
there's
they
been
approved
developments.
the changes for Mizzou. For those, I went to Mizzou. For those that don't know, sure, yeah, I think that's fair. That's where Kansas was a little.
There's
bit
not
more,
nearly as much buzz to it, but
right.
yes.
Kansas was a little bit more top of mind because they played at Arrowhead, but yeah, I mean Mizzou is on the up for that as well. I think all of this has a much longer, wide term. Like I think we'll look back at the year.
I just remembered another thing. They renovated Allen Fieldhouse this year.
There you go.
So.
Yeah, again, I don't know if I'd put that on the level, but as far as the overall growth, again, the banner, Year of Kansas City Sports Growth, stadiums, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the long term, we'll look back at 2024 and go like, man, a lot happened there. Is that bigger than the Royals postseason? Maybe. But in the year itself, I think the stadium topics, anything that I just said there, Gabe, you could.
You're remaining on brand and being the eternal optimist that you are, and that's why Royals returning to the postseason goes above all these developments that likely when we're looking back in 10 years and the Chiefs are playing in a dome that can potentially host Super Bowls and Final Fours, and has none of the overall
but the Royals,
aesthetic
Dave, the Royals.
or mystique to it that Arrowhead Stadium has.
I think you're right if the Royals continue to have success, but if we go another 10 years without a postseason, I think we'll look back and say, wow, that 1 year, there's the only year Royals were anything, which isn't crazy. When the precedent is 3 in 39 years, that's why I think, but odds are, I think you're right that stadium buzz is bigger. Yes.
Yeah. I think that is, and part of the Royal success is in hindsight how poor they were in 2023.
Didn't help the vote.
Didn't help the vote for sure. And
that's
then,
a good question.
And
does the vote pass if it's voted on in November? Probably.
Does a vote pass if it's voted on post them making the playoffs and then the Chiefs going and three-peating?
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Either way, that.
It is and CPKC Stadium getting to host the first its first NWSL championship game.
Well, and just the current home games there, like they sold out so many matches, and a lot of fun matches there, and I think that was a success with how quickly they built it and everything the Current have done is awesome, and the growing fan support. I think that in itself is a massive win too. That maybe even deserves its own headline. But I like the synergy of all of this happening at the same time. Gabe is crazy.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past it was just the Sprint Center and T-Mobile Center getting built pretty much. I guess Children's Mercy Park was the most recent one. So it speaks to the exciting times of 2024 very much serving as a launching point, or at least a turning point with the Royals and Chiefs getting rejected. So, okay, Gabe, splitting off the Chiefs because I think the 2024 regular season deserves its own part, because if it was just a ho-hum regular season, I don't know if I'd put it as number 4. But the way in which the season has gone, with the sheer number of close games, close wins most of the time, the way they have truly broken the rest of the NFL fan base-wise for everyone thinking the refs are in love with the Chiefs and that Patrick Mahomes is faking an injury. And, I think it's on steroids this year because of the way the Chiefs have won in such crazy fashion week after week after week after week. That is a story in itself, regardless of what happens in the postseason. Yeah,
it is. By every objective measure, it is the most successful attempt at a three-peat in NFL history. It's
it's a good point.
One of the most successful just championship following up, championship defenses of any regular season.
Heck, it's regardless of Super Bowl 14 and the number of wins the Chiefs have this year.
It's one of the best regular seasons of all time in Chiefs history. And when you compare it to this season and you compare last season contextually to what the teams that the Chiefs have played in Super Bowls have done, the 49ers are 6-9 right now. They've shut Trent Williams down for the season. Brandon Ayuk they lost for the season. They've had trouble with Deebo Samuel, and they've had him saying the problem is how often he's getting the ball, not that he's not any good, and they've got a Brock Purdy decision. There's all these different things.
It's hard to do what the Chiefs have done.
And the Chiefs are making it look easy in the sense that the record looks good.
Yeah.
Somehow people see all this record and they see all the success from the last 2 years and they still doubt it, which I think makes this a good call at 4. I think 4 and 5 you could debate, and we'll see. I want to hear what you say about number 5 on the list.
Yeah.
But I do think that the way in which they've won all these games, the fact that so many of them have been one-score games,
just a crazy ride.
They're at the point where you look at these historic lists and it's like the Brady and Belichick Patriots in one-score games, and then the Reed and Mahomes Chiefs in one-score games, and that significance makes this really important.
And just in a game, but like when you think about your year, the year in sports, like these Chiefs games have been like every Sunday it's like, wow, what a game, what a like it's what you're talking about, it's what you're, I don't know how much you're enjoying. Well, I enjoy watching. I know some Chiefs fans are like, all right, we're gonna win today and it's gonna be a heck of a ride, you know. But it's been a remarkable ride. Every Chiefs season is, but this one I think has been one of the more like if you would rank the regular seasons, Gabe, this is one of the more entertaining seasons of the Mahomes era. From a pure like entertainment standpoint, in that there's a lot of drama in every game. Not as far as like obviously Mahomes' first year was awesome. I think the second year and third year were like more fun from a dominant standpoint. But in that,
I think 2021 had a little bit of the freak out of how bad is it, and then they figured it out and it was fun again.
That had some. That year had some low moments though.
Yeah, but it was low moments, but it didn't align with how like when you looked at all inside of all the numbers, the offense really wasn't a problem. It was just like weird tip balls, Tyreek Hill dropping balls that was turning into he was tipping balls to defenders in the game against Washington. Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled to mess up the Ravens game. Like that whole thing was just kind of manufactured. Whereas this year there's been legitimate signs of worry. And they still and then it's just, we just blocked blocked a field goal for the win.
When I say entertainment, I don't mean, you know, sunshine and rainbows, but I think entertainment from like drama.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
All right, so this has been one of the most probably the most drama-filled regular season of Mahomes' career, and so how much drama is entertainment? I'd still take some of the earlier Chiefs seasons, but nonetheless, it's been fun. So now we group in the number 5, Gabe, which for the record, 5 and 6, like. I think you can make an argument that Missouri beating Kansas in the border war, first time since 2012, and first time Mizzou's beaten a number 1 ranked team since 1997. I think you can make an argument that maybe belongs to a spot, but I'm encompassing we've talked about teams, but the individual success, okay? Not all of these people won MVPs, but they're all in the conversation for being not just valuable for Kansas City sports, but for their league. Patrick Mahomes won Super Bowl MVP. All right, I know he didn't win regular season, but he took home a number MVP trophy. Incredibly impressive. Tim Washawinga won NWSL MVP in her first year with the Current. Absolutely incredible. Bobby Witt Jr., second MVP, unanimous runner-up in MVP. I think that's of note. Like, not a single person had him third or below.
And only got beat out by one of the best seasons in baseball history.
Exactly. And then is when we're talking about value, who was the most valuable pitcher in the American League? Seth Lugo gets second, Cole Reagan's fourth, and the third was a closer. So 2 of the 3 most valuable pitchers in the league, starting pitchers in the league, were Royals. That group's in there. Matt Quatrero, second manager of the year, and Salvador Perez becomes the first Royal in franchise history and organization history to win the Roberto Clemente Man of the Year, not Man of the Year. Roberto Clemente, that's basically what it is, Man of the Year, for his off-the-field work. That is incredibly valuable. And then Travis Kelce is up for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Obviously, we don't know if he'll win, but in that realm, when you look at the stars of Kansas City right now, we don't know if Chris Jones, where he'll rank in Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think he has the sacks for that, but I think he's a bona fide star. Like, I think there is more star power in Kansas City sports right now than ever before. I didn't get to the colleges, but I think you could say Devin Neal, Avery Johnson, and Brady Cook, Luther Burden. I think those stars are legitimate stars for their programs. I think you look at Hunter Dickinson for KU. Mark Mitchell, Tamar Bates from Mizzou. I think they're stars at that level. Not as much on the level I just said with Kansas City major pro sports, but this is a city of not just Kansas City value, sport value.
Yeah, Kansas City has never been more relevant in terms of like the ESPYs. I know that the ESPYs is not as big of a deal as it was like a decade ago, but
that's a good point, though.
That's the Chiefs are mentioned every single year. I'm sure Bobby Witt Jr. will be up for best baseball player. I don't think he'll win it over Shohei or Aaron Judge, or Juan Soto, but he'll be up there. And I think that it's been an incredible point, and that's what the emergence that I was talking about in number 2 of Bobby Witt Jr. this summer was that now every single night that there's a game at the Truman Sports Complex, one of the best players in the world at their sport is playing, and it is
pretty cool.
Must watch. And there will, like, the glass half full viewing experience of the Chiefs is, this is awesome, this is so much fun, the Chiefs are doing unprecedented things. The glass half empty experience is saying it will never be better than this. And whenever Patrick Mahomes is done playing in Kansas City,
it's gonna be tough.
It's going to be tough. And you see what New England does, and they've got Drake May and they've got a decent future, but it's never going to be what it was with Brady.
Especially because this is so many, for the people that remember Lynn Dawson, but for so many people, this is the first taste of true glory. And I should also, Travis Kelce isn't winning in the MVP awards like on the field, but also his overall star power exploded to new heights in 2024 as well.
Yeah.
Actually, Gabe, Taylor and Travis should have been wanting to. I know that's not a news story for 2024, but new heights. They reached new heights this year. And an album, Taylor Swift released songs about Travis Kelce. She shouted him out at the MTV Awards. When we talk about stars, when we talk about Kansas City stars, Gabe, there's not a bigger star than Travis Kelce. In the pop culture world landscape, Patrick Mahomes is the biggest sports star. In the pop culture, Kelce continues to endure himself. The fact that we're getting through the end of 2024 and they're still together, I mean, that was a thing. If they had broken up, it might have been the number 3
bigger
story.
Upset than the Chiefs in the playoffs in the early January.
If they broke up. I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen, so I'm not even gonna entertain it.
I'm kidding.
Swifties come for him.
I'm kidding. That was a joke. Take a joke, people.
So, any top storylines, any gripes that I missed that you'd reorder? Where do you stand? You can throw the border.
Yeah, I'd say honorable mention things like Aoka Lee and scoring records at K-State women's basketball. I would say that the Big 12 expansion this year is one of those things that impacts.
And SEC expansion as a problem.
Well, I would just say the Big 12 expansion impacts the way that the men's basketball and women's basketball tournaments in Kansas City get, and how that kind of impacts the area in March. That's pretty significant, and that'd be where I'd be at, and then just another notch in the belt of Bill Self becoming the winningest basketball coach in KU basketball history.
It's so weird not having a whole lot of college basketball, but that was the story of last year, with K-State making the Elite Eight, MU winning a tournament game for the first time in a while. Actually, Kansas got lost, but the Bill Self health scare, that was a lot bigger story. This year, K-State and MU don't make the tournament. MU doesn't even win a conference game, and then KU loses in the second round with an injury-riddled team. So, hoops didn't really make it this year. Would you have put the border war in the top 5, or do you like where it is at 6?
No.
But when you look at the historical context,
I would say
basketball beating Kansas is pretty rare.
Well, I would just say that in 2025, one of the bigger things is it coming back on the football field.
Yes. Oh, God, yes. Great point.
So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
Year.
Our college football team's also kind of disappointed a little bit. I know that was kind of grouped in Kansas playing at Arrowhead, but K-State, 8-4 is not bad, but they could have done better, especially in the way the Big 12 set up. Kansas obviously disappointed. Then MU, they're not apologizing for what they did, but when you're that close to making the college football playoff and getting drummed in the losses that they did have, with the exception of South Carolina, I can't put them there. So, okay. I'm glad you don't. I mean, a lot of it's kind of obvious, but Either way, Gabe, here's to what's in store for 2025. I think if we were to rank best sports years in Kansas City history, I think this 2024 ranks high. I mean, I think it could be number one. The Chiefs and Royals have never made the postseason in the same year. So if you just go by that metric, then you factor in the stadium stuff. The current Sporting Kansas City is the lone struggling squad, but maybe there's a year where the colleges did really well.
I mean, we're at the point where collectively over the last 5 years, I saw some stat where it was like every major city and the amount of playoff wins they've had in like the last half decade. And given the amount of teams that they have and how feudal the success of them have been, like Chicago, I think over the last half decade has like 4 playoff wins.
I know.
Kansas City by itself over the last half decade has, between the Royals and Chiefs alone, has like 15.
Crazy. And it wasn't really until this year where Los Angeles and New York kind of got back on the map with all their wins in baseball.